Welcome everyone to Coaching in Session. My name is Michael Rearden and I will be your mindset coach today. And today we're going to be having a special Wednesday episode. It's going to be similar to last week's Wednesday episode where we do a little presentation, a little bit of Workshop Wednesday. I used to do Workshop Wednesday, I believe episodes like 70 to like 120, something along those lines. And if you want, go back to those episodes and you can get full workshop presentations, things that will cost a lot of money that you can get for free. Of course, they don't look like that when the presentation is for a company, but what I can say is that the information is going to be invaluable. Whether it's career, fitness, development, anything you can find in those workshops, and you're going to find that if you follow those steps, you're going to be in a better place. As we go along with these next couple of episodes, because we are building up into a new mindset, and we're building up into an idea of what is happening in the world. So we have been talking about personal development. Health has been really big recently in the podcast, performance. We've been talking about the notion of we can do things, right? Our limits, our mindset is going to be there, but we can change it. We can discipline it. And that is what we're going to be bringing in around episode 350, around that point, because we need to get into the modern mindset. Because as much as I love the mindset of our forefathers, I mean, it's a really good mindset. Strong, powerful, right? They took tough times and they made easy times. So that generation right there, that switch is going to be a very powerful generation. And for people to realize that they do have to take action, right? They have to take some good action. But we do have to understand the modern mindset, because if we don't understand the modern mindset, we can't build the empire today, if that makes sense. Because I can say how to have a strong mindset, and the mindset might not be relevant to many people in the world today, even though it's a really good mindset to have. I mean, I have it. But some people don't want to have the same mindset I have, so they want a modern mindset, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's the same thing as relationships. Some people don't want traditional relationships. Some people want modern relationships. And I mean, I coach people. If they want modern relationships, I can coach you through it. I know the mindset. But today, I want to give you some tips to make the modern mindset better. So let's get into those 12 tips right now. All right, everyone. As always, make sure to like, comment, and to subscribe, and to share the video and our audio to help build a community of like-minded individuals. And to share this one, because sharing is caring, and we do want to share this one out because this is going to be a mindset, a modern mindset that many people are going to find that is what they need. And if they can focus on these 12 tips, and even if they can't make all 12, and let's say they can do 7, that's going to leave them in a better place. Will it create abundance? It's possible, but it depends on which 7 of these tips that you're going to follow. So we're going to do a quick machine gun run through them, and then I'm going to break them down in the rest of the podcast. So tip number 1 is going to be embrace lifelong learning. Now, if you know anything about me, former educator, I always say if you're not learning every single day, you're dying a little bit every single moment. So lifelong learning is going to create longevity when it comes to modern mindsets, because if you know anything about trends in the modern world, they change almost every day. So we need to be able to learn. We do need to understand that we might have to learn how to, program our DVD-Rs if that's even a thing anymore. And we have to learn how to burn CDs. Kids don't know what that is. So we have to become lifelong learners. And if we don't, then we're going to be behind in the time. That is tip number 1. Tip number 2. We need to be adaptable and resilient. Now, if you understand, the world is always changing. So we do have to be able to adapt, as I said. One of the things that I do, I call this pivoting when it comes to adapting. If you are struggling with something and it's just not working the same way, for example, age is a great way to look at it. You can eat a bunch of junk food when you're like in high school. You might not gain a lick of weight, but the moment you turn like 25 to like 28 or something like that, our bodies changes, our hormones changes, and everything goes down the drain, it seems like. Oh, I gained all this weight. What happened, right? We started to do the same things we were doing, right? We just kept on doing the same things we were doing, thinking we were going to get the same results, but our body changed. And so should our mind. So we do have to be able to adapt to if we change. We have to be resilient to not give up. And that is important for tip number 2. Then we get into tip 3, develop a growth mindset. If you know anything about the podcast, you know anything about me, I talk about the growth mindset. I talk about a positive and optimistic and uplifting mindset all the time. In our world today, there is just too much negativity. If we do not have a growth mindset, you're going to find that you're dragged down with that negative, that drama, that hardship, and you're going to be doing this automatically. But if you take the growth mindset, apply that to your life, your daily practice, you're going to see that no matter what goes on in the world, you are always going to be out on top in a positive manner. And then when you can be in that positive manner, you can take positive and good action. That will be tip number 3. And then we get into tip number 4. Tip number 4 is going to be foster creativity and innovation. We are changing every single moment. And this is what modern is, right? Modern is relevant to current, what's happening right now. You have to be able to be creative. You have to be able to be an innovator. You just can't keep doing everything that has been done before. If you are a content creator, I don't know if I consider myself a content creator. I think I'm more of a coach. Yes, I present content on YouTube and on podcasts, but this is more of a personal development person, right? You want to call me a personal development guy, that's fine too. But what I'm bringing in is a new conversation, a new thought process, a new mindset as much as possible. And that changes. If you listen to the first, let's say 20 episodes of Coaching in Session, and you listen to the episodes now, the mindset has slightly adjusted. Not like, oh my God, it's so different. Like this guy was jumping off cliffs and now he's saying that jumping off cliffs is a bad idea. It's not that drastic, right? It's literally a small, subtle change. And when you're working with mindsets, and especially like when I'm working with clients, I just can't go cold turkey with them most of the time, right? Unless you're some hardcore person that's just ready to change. You can't just say, okay, no more smoking, no more cigarettes, no more drinking, and expect them to say, okay, sure, because the body is just used to it. So we have to do some limits. We do some limiting work there, but we have to be creative. We have to be innovative. So we're always changing. Just how my coaching can adjust to individuals, you have to understand what the world wants. And if you are a content creator, as I was saying, you just can't keep doing the same content, or you can't just be making the same things. For example, let's say there's a trending TikTok dance, right? And maybe that is the reason why you got a whole bunch of TikTok followers. You're not going to just keep doing that TikTok dance when there's other dances that are trending. If that makes sense, then you understand, foster creativity, be innovative. Don't just keep on doing what got you popular. Do what is popular. All right. This is a different type of mindset, the modern mindset, because of course, I think conformity can be a thing that can cause you to not go down the right path. But if you're using your creative juices, your imagination, and if you are being the inventor that you can be, good things can happen. And that's tip number 4. Then we get into tip number 5, cultivate emotional intelligence. And I hate this. Hate it so much. However, it is important that we put this on here because there are people from the age 0 to 7 that are growing up that do not learn emotional intelligence. And I know my audience is not 0 to 7 years old. My audience is parents, busy professionals, people who want to change their life. You most likely have a child in your life, a niece, a nephew. Maybe you have kids of your own, right? If you're a grandparent, you have grandchildren. Cultivate emotional intelligence in them. As an adult, the only thing you need to know about emotional intelligence, this is just one aspect, there's about 4 or 5 aspects to emotional intelligence. The only aspect that you should care as an adult is being able to control your emotions. Not being able to release them, not being able to express them. F that. You need to be able to control them. As a man, if you can't control your emotions, that's dangerous. If I can't control my emotions, you know how many people will be hurt? A lot. I don't want to hurt people. I need to be able to control myself. All right? If someone talks bad about me, I just can't punch their face into the concrete. That is not helpful. That is not a growth mindset. Might be a modern mindset, but it's not a helpful mindset. So I need to be able to control myself, but I'm not going to be crying on here talking about boo-hoo, all my stress and anxiety. I'm not talking about that. I'm going to talk about all my worries and my work and stuff and how life is so hard and unfair. Grow up, man up, all right? And if you're a woman, woman up. I don't care, all right? Emotional intelligence is for kids. You just need to know how to control your emotions. Yes, if you want to be a mother, emotional intelligence is really good. Woman, you want to have emotional intelligence is probably even better for you. But we're talking about modern mindsets now. Because a traditional woman, a traditional wife is going to cultivate an emotional intelligence and she's going to be able to be a good wife. Most women today don't know how to be good wives. And I know this is like a mindset OD conversation. I'm sorry, people. But emotional intelligence, I do want you to understand that tip number 5, emotional intelligence, is for the younger folks to understand. And for adults, they only need to control their emotions. That's it. All right. The other aspects are for kids and for traditional wives. If you're not a traditional wife or a kid, you don't need the totality of emotional intelligence. If you need help with emotional intelligence, if you are a kid or if you are a traditional wife, I can help you with that. If you are a modern person, the only thing you need to know is you need to be able to control yourself. That's it. That was tip number 5. Tip number 6, embrace technology. Technology is a son of a gun because one minute you're doing something and the next minute you're like, wait, what am I doing? Because things change so much. When I started the podcast, I was using, I forget which streaming platform because the podcast was live and it was actually a pretty decent thing where I was like, all right, I can work with this. It was kind of easy and I had everything scheduled, but then I was like, you know what? This is maybe not what I'm looking for because I wanted to be a little bit further ahead and I can only go a certain amount ahead with the platform that I was doing. So I was like, let me upload my podcast onto a provider. I use Buzzsprouts and on YouTube also, and it goes on Rumble. So there's different ways that I wanted to present the podcast later on. But before, the podcast was live on all the major social medias, Twitter, LinkedIn, Tumblr, Pinterest, I believe. I think it came out like just a tag so people can easily get over to the YouTube or the Facebook page, and all of that was live. And so did really good with that. But then I was like, you know what? I just want to make it a little bit more simple. Put it on YouTube. It's automatically put on Rumble when it's on YouTube, and then make the audio for the podcast. That's what I did. And works really well, right? It works really well for my schedule, and I'm able to really push out content this way. I find it to be a lot better. However, technology can make things even better. Today, I have so many options when it comes to technology and doing my podcast. I can use Riverside FM, which I use for my group episodes, and I use OBS to do much of my recording. OBS is just really good. So I have to embrace technology. I just can't say, well, you know, I've been doing this all my time and it's been working. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, they say, right? But sometimes technology can make things better. It can make things easier. And it's important that we are able to embrace it. I encourage everyone to have a modern mindset, to learn as much technology as possible, and to see how you can implement it into your betterment. That was tip number 6. And then we get into tip number 7, and that is going to be emphasize collaboration and teamwork. If you know anything about going far in life, you need to be able to be a team player. You need to be able to work well with people. And we talked about this on the group episode. I know it was about 17 episodes or more at this time behind us. But what went on was we talked about like the idea of leadership and who should be a leader and who should be a follower. And there is no right or wrong way to be a leader, or there's no right or wrong way to be a follower in the sense of a modern way of being. Because if you know anything about modern, it is extremely flexible. So depending on certain work cultures, you're going to have a different type of environment. And you might have a toxic environment. You might have a very happy and collaborative, teamworky environment. It depends on where you are. I have seen both. I would recommend that the teamwork one, you can get a lot more done, but there's a lot more loopholes than just saying, I need it done this way. So it's a little bit less effective when you're just trying to, do teamwork all the time, because then it's too many ideas and you need some action. The way you get around that teamwork aspect is by having good leadership aspect. So figure out if you're a leader, if you are a team player, I think that's going to be really good. But if you're a leader, understand that you need to collaborate with your team. It's not just you telling them what to do. So you can ask them an opinion. You can ask them, what to do. And again, this is all a modern mindset. This is not a traditional mindset. Remember that, folks. Tip number 7 is emphasizing collaboration and teamwork. What does that look like for you? Let me know in the comments below. Then we look at tip number 8, focus on health and well-being. We have been talking about this for the past couple weeks. This is important. We need to make sure that we have the best health and physical possible. So we need to make sure that we are being well. And what does that mean for you? It can mean many different things, right? It can mean exercise. It can mean being more mindful. It can be, just changing some lifestyle choices, right? So instead of coming home and sitting on the sofa, maybe you come home and you go for a walk around the block, right? With a friend or something like that, or a family member or a kid, whatever, right? Just going and doing something different that's going to help you have a healthy body, mind, and soul, and maybe even a relationship, right? Health can also be that. So looking at how to focus health and well-being, that's tip number 8. And then we get into tip number 9, develop adaptability and decision-making. And that's just going to be similar to doing a pivot to understand that you just can't keep getting vanilla ice cream whenever you go to the ice cream shop. I know that's maybe not the most mature answer, but when you think of a modern mindset, you have to put maturity, I think, maybe in the middle, because you have to be able to adapt. And the way you adapt is by trying new things. And if you are not open to adjusting, you're just kind of rigid. You're just like an old person. You're like, I ain't moving. I ain't changing. Then you're going to find you're behind in the time. So make decisions that are modern too, because if I just said, you know what, I'm just going to cater to the baby boomers and I'm just going to focus on that traditional mindset, they are already at a point in their life where they might not want to change their mindset, right? They're stuck in their ways, and most people who are older are stuck in their ways. But for the busy professional who are growing and learning and trying to develop their skills and personal development and leadership, those people, they need help. They need coaches. So when I'm working with individuals, I have to be able to adapt to what they're looking for, and they have to be able to want to adapt what I'm telling them and what I'm offering them, right? Because I can tell someone and they have a choice. They can choose to do what I say or not choose to do what I say. And at the end of the day, they're still going to find that they have a deeper understanding of who they're becoming, right? Because there's always a path. We can take path A or path B. Maybe there's some more paths, C, D, E, whatever. But we are just trying to say, what is going to be your choice? And if you keep taking path A, path A, path A, path A, eventually you're going to find that you're right back in the same spot. So be brave and be able to adapt and to make different decisions. That's going to be tip number 9. Then we get into tip number 10, stay informed and be aware. I talked about this, I believe, in episode 130 to 150, something along those lines. We were talking about the news. We were talking about how to get information. We were talking about how to stay informed and not be misinformed. We talk about it on Mindset OD all the time because it is important that we understand what's happening in the world, in our world too. But we can't just be the people that say, oh, this happened, I need to be worried. I know the mindset of people in Connecticut, they're nutmeggers. And nutmeggers is a Connecticut term for if you are from Connecticut. Like if you're a Texan, you're from Texas. And if you're from Connecticut, it's not a Connecticutian, it's a nutmegger. You're a nutmegger. So I'm a former nutmegger. I'm a Texan now. I'm a Texas boy. And I have to stay informed. But when I was in Connecticut, right, the news would come on, ABC News, Channel 7, whatever it was. And they would say a snowstorm is coming. Oh my God, a snowstorm is coming. Everyone has to run to the store and get bread and milk and stuff. And I'm just thinking in my head, like, why does everyone got to run to the store and get some, bread and milk? Like, don't they have bread and milk already? Like, when did they go shopping? that they don't have any food in the house. That's just the mindset, right? Preparedness in Connecticut. Yet here in Texas, when we were told that there was going to be a big freeze, yes, people did go get some bread and milk and stuff like that, but most people weren't prepared. Most people didn't have the facilities, and some of it is going to be Texas's fault because they don't need certain equipment for the house, so pipes will freeze and power will turn off. But many people learned, and now many people adjusted, right? So now people are informed if something is going to happen, they need to prepare. They have to be aware, but they cannot be given false information to do the right things and make the right choices. So staying informed and being aware is going to be many of the important things, social issues, what's going on, wars, politics. Staying informed is going to help you create a better and stronger mindset and to help you make better decisions, and then to be open about different types of opinions. Because when the whole pandemic happened, a lot of people were trying to stay informed and be aware, but there was so much misinformation going on that people developed their own opinions and insights because of what they were told rather than doing work themselves or doing the groundwork themselves. And I did the groundwork myself. I was hired by a company to do the groundwork to develop a new mindset, basically what was happening and should we be afraid? And what I came up with was you should not be afraid. And that was early on in the pandemic. And then eventually the Omicron came out, and then that was maybe the true pandemic. But it was after the lockdowns. It was after the stimulus. So it was like the real one didn't happen after the fake one. So we were lied to, and then all of a sudden we were not informed well enough. Even though, they said, if we do this, we would be okay. But then again, that was misinformation. It was a lie. So stay informed, be aware, and do your due diligence. That was tip number 10. Then we get into tip 11. Embrace diversity and inclusion. Of course, this has to be on the list for a modern mindset, right? Love your neighbor. Love everyone in the world. However, it seems like this is only appropriate to certain people. And I find this to be infuriating, okay? For example, Black Lives Matter, the dumbest thing ever. Why in the world do we need an organization that says that Black Lives Matter? Everyone knows people's lives matter. So why do we need an organization that says, because, there's just so much injustice against the Black people? Okay, I understand that, right? I see that. I've been a part of it. Cool. But then what if those Black people and the Black Lives Matter started to do? They started rioting? Well, what was the point in that? They started attacking Asian people. What about Asian lives matter? I guess they don't matter, huh? So there was a discrepancy in the message, right? They were so singular in the message that they couldn't understand that what was going on in the world, the prejudice or the racial divide, was also creating more divide. And it's almost like, all right, I'm going to put out this house fire, right? So I have a house on fire in front of me. I'm getting a bucket of gasoline instead of water. And I'm just like, I got a bucket, right? There's some liquid in here. I'm throwing it on the house. I'm just making it worse. And that's what Black Lives Matter did. So you have to embrace diversity and inclusion and understand what they were trying to do. It was just a failed attempt at it. What we can do to develop a better and stronger mindset for embracing diversity and inclusion is understanding that everyone has their own life. And this is how I approach it. You get to make a choice as long as it affects you. My podcast affects me. Of course, I can say things that hurt people's feelings. But if I hurt your feelings, I want you to take action, right? I don't want you to be in the same place anymore. I want you to be in a better place. So if you are upset because I say something, then that's a personal choice. It was your choice, right? You are in control of your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. I can't control that. I can help you make a choice, but then at the end of the day, the decision is yours. So when we can embrace that there's going to be different people in the world and everyone has the choice to be who they want to be. The only problem I have with embracing diversity and inclusion is I have to put it in front of someone's face, just like here, this is in your face, just pay attention to this, support me. And that's what happened, right? That's what's happening with the, Black Lives Matter thing. That's what's happening with the LGBT stuff, the trans stuff, the, different cultures and, religious groups and stuff like that. All of that's happening because people are just thinking by themselves. They're not being collaborative. They're not having a teamwork mindset. They're not having a growth and work mindset. They're not embracing diversity in the sense of beyond themselves because they have to understand, yes, they want to be that person. They can be that person, but it doesn't mean the other person has to acknowledge you. Okay. People don't have to acknowledge me saying, oh, you have a strong mindset, Michael. Oh, you're so handsome, Michael. Oh, you're so positive, Michael. I don't need someone to acknowledge me because at the end of the day, I'm laying down in my bed. I'm not looking out at other people, making sure that they love me and like me, and that everyone's happy, because happiness is internal. If someone doesn't like you, that's the other person's problem. So when you embrace diversity and inclusion, understand that that is going to be something that you have to focus on. Okay. And then we get into our last tip number 12, and that's going to be practice mindfulness and meditation. As you know, mindfulness and meditation, it could be journaling. That's going to help you solidify your mindset and focus down on what you need in order to be the best possible person, especially when it comes to a modern mindset. As always, if you need help with any of this, go to revenconcepts.com. You can get yourself a coaching session, and then you can learn how to reach a better mindset, a better modern mindset. As we begin to wrap up these 12 tips, embrace lifelong learning, be adaptable and resilient, develop a growth mindset, foster creativity and innovation, cultivate emotional intelligence, embrace technology, emphasize collaborative and teamwork, focus on health and well-being, develop adaptability and decision-making, stay informed and be aware, embrace diversity and inclusion, and practice mindfulness and meditation. Those are going to be the 12 tips to help build a better modern mindset. I will probably be doing a traditional mindset just to help people understand the difference between the two. There are going to be some similarities, but what I can say is that a traditional mindset is going to focus on your capabilities and what you can accomplish. There is going to be an aspect of collaboration, but it's not going to be in the sense of I need someone to hold my hand along the way. I need someone to be with me in the dark because it's scary, okay? Modern is different. It's not wrong. It's just current. The reason our culture today is modern is because of technology, science, and it has made our life very easy. It has made our life very safe. We don't have to worry about our basic necessities as much. For example, you don't have to worry about getting water. You most likely have clean water, especially if you're here in the West. You don't have to worry about food, like getting food, because you can go to the grocery store, the corner store. Now, I understand money might be an issue, so you will have to go to work or you will have to find a way to attain some money. But that's going to be the hardest part if you can get your needs met. Because even if we look at a need that is not as prominent as food, water, and shelter, safety, and security, it's going to be sex. So you can pay to get that too. And I'm not promoting it, right? I don't believe you should do that. But there are people who do it, right? Look at all the OnlyFans people, right? Men mostly are going on these OnlyFans sites and they're paying ladies to get their sexual fix. Now, it might be virtual, but again, it's modern, all right? The modern mindset today is very different than the mindsets of the past, and there's nothing wrong with changing mindsets. There's nothing wrong with moving with times and adjusting as we go. But we do need to understand that our current modern mindset can create a crack in the whole entire vessel of who we can become. And that crack can change our whole entire lives for the worst, not for the better. So we need to make sure that that crack is there. We need to do our due diligence to understand that this is a modern mindset. This is a modern crack, and it's supposed to be there because that is how people are growing up. At some point, it's going to give. It might be individualized, meaning it might give for certain individuals at different points. But what I can tell you is that in order to adjust from here, you do need to make sure you have the best modern mindset. And you do need to be able to follow these 12 tips because one of the tips, again, be able to adapt. So when everything starts falling apart, you know what to do. If you need help with this, of course, reach out to us again at revenconcepts.com. We'll be more than happy to help you out, get a better, stronger mindset, disciplined mindset. And even if you want it, we can even go into the traditional mindset before that episode comes out. My name is Michael Rearden. I'm a mindset coach. If you have any questions, you can email me coachinginsession@gmail.com. And I'll see everyone on the next episode of Coaching in Session. Until then, everyone take care.